Hi folks, it's Rachel Morris from Eclectic Nature Jewelry and Design, and I wanted to give you a little tour of what it'll look like while I'm teaching online live classes from my studio in Oregon. One of the things I've done is I've set up a multi-camera equipment setup in my studio so that you can get a good view of what's going on at all times. Students who've talked about this model for teaching, especially torch work, have said that it works quite well. They can see actually more than they sometimes could crowding around the bench with a bunch of other students because you get a good visual. So I'm going to show you the cameras that we've got set up so you can see how much you can see here. And first up is the bench cam itself. And you'll see that you can actually see what I'm working on. You can see if I'm filing something. You can see if I'm hammering something. I can zoom it in and zoom it out, give you a good view of the bench. I also have a camera specifically set up for the soldering station. And that means that when we're soldering, you get a very good above the sort of bird's eye view of what I'm working on here, so that when the torch is in, you can get a good picture at it. And then next I have a sort of a spare camera that is for my big tools. Right now it's pointing at the bench grinder because I will be teaching a hollow forms in silver class at the end of October as my first class, and that's a great tool to have for it. As you can see, you get a good view of everything, and I can move the cameras around if there are other pieces of equipment that we need to see, like the hydraulic press or the rolling mill. And I can take you on a tour of the studio just by walking us through with one of the cameras. And I can also control the zoom on any of them individually. So you will be able to interact with me via Zoom because I'll be on my camera set up through a Zoom meeting. I also have in the corner of my studio, there's a big screen so that I can watch the Zoom meeting and interact with you, see you face to face. There'll be a chat open. We can also use Zoom's additional features such as their whiteboarding session and annotate sessions, which lets you draw. You and I can both draw on pictures that we put up and so on. And you can also share what you've done either through your camera or through a video camera or through taking photographs of your work. So the general cycle of each session is going to be one where I do my usual talking. Those of you that have taken classes with me before already know how much I do that, about the projects we're working on. Then I'll do a small demonstration piece and send you on your way back to your own space, either working in your studio or in one of the schools that has a shared studio space that I work with. And you'll do a little bit of work on the next steps in your personal projects. And then you'll come back and we'll all share what we've done and talk about any of the challenges that we've run into, view any photographs you've taken, or you can hold things up to the camera. And then we go into another cycle of I talk a little more, we do another demonstration, and you go back to your bench and do some more work. So it'll be similar to the rhythm of an in-person class, except you control your time at the torch and so on a little bit more. There's no waiting for it to be next on the torch if there's a limit to the number of spaces we have. It does require that you have certain tools. So all of my classroom documentation is going to have very explicit lists of tools that I recommend. And I always divide it into the must-haves versus the nice-to-haves. I also am now trying to make sure that there's some alternatives so that you don't have to rush out and buy expensive tools. But I'm going to teach about if you have both the simple version of the tool and the more advanced version of the tool. I'll talk to both of those issues in any class we talk about tool use. So that's what the classroom setting is going to be like. As you can see, it's a fairly good look at the work that we're doing up close and personal. You just need to have internet connection and a limited amount of tools and equipment for yourself. Some classes take more than others. But let me give you one more pass around so you can see. We have the bench cam, we have the soldering cam, and we have the other tools cam. And I'll move those around as needed depending on the classroom situation. So if we're doing polishing, I can move one of them over to my polishing area. If I'm working at one of the other large tools, I can move it there. Thanks very much.